Good morning. I am higher vibrations, and so are you. And I am really excited about today's show. Our guest today is someone who I've become aware of like years ago. She does some amazing stuff. A couple came out with a really cool book about um, a late diagnosis of ADHD and autism and being in the spiritual awakening. There's so much about being a homeschool mama, just like I am, and I really resonate with that. And the crystal grids that she does is just so powerful. And it's one of those kind of things where you don't ever expect to get to talk to people, and you follow their content, and here I am. I get to have a conversation on the show with her. So I'm really happy to welcome Kristen to the show today. How are you today?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so honored that you asked me because I've followed you as well for many years, and some of those conversations have been so helpful, like with the ascension updates and symptoms and stuff. Like when you're really going through it physically, you sort of like, and medically it can't always be explained, and it's just so helpful to have that space, and then to see that others are going through it as well. So thank you so much for all that you do, because it really does help so much.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really fun that we both watch each other. Oh, and I want to say, I was curious. So, like, I know you haven't done them for a little while, but I haven't had the time to like look into you run a Facebook page for Crystal Grids. Is that right?
Yes, I've got a few. So I've got my page, Kristen's Crystal Grids. So I started that back in, I think it was the end of 2012. And yeah, so I've been doing them for a fair while, and I was guided by, spirit to do that. And back then there really wasn't that much out around crystal gridding and so much, whereas now that it's just kind of exploded, which is brilliant. Like so many people getting into it. And then I admin and two other crystal grid pages. So one's crystal and mineral grids. And then there's another one, I'm just trying to think of the name of it. It was actually another lady's page, and she ran it for a long time, and she's an Australian too. And she said, like, you've been the only one posting in here, and she's got other stuff going on with kids and work and stuff. So, she asked me to start running that page too. Professional crystal healers, I think that's what it's called, or you'll have to come back to me because it did have a much longer name and I changed it. So there's a few there. It's definitely a special interest. Like, I've always loved crystals and minerals and things, and they just, for me, I can just feel their energies so much, and like I've even said to my kids, like my son, like, I hold this, what do you feel from this? And he's like, it's a rock, it's cold. And I'm like, but can't you feel it? Like, so yeah, I think everyone definitely has their own ways of healing and doing their work. And for me, the crystal and minerals have always really resonated. So I think that's definitely from past lives as well. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of us that work with different modalities and things. So yeah, and like a lot of children, I loved crystals and minerals, and I had a little collection. But once I sort of became an adult, that's when I really started to collect them a lot more. So yeah, it just grew and grew. Yeah. So moving house is always fun, like packing them all up. And but yeah, I feel like they're beings. They're almost sentient beings, they've got their own personalities and everything like that. And I find it really interesting. There's been a lot of times where I've, sometimes you've been gifted crystals or things like that, or bought them, and then after a time I've been guided to give them to others and things like that. So there's been a lot of that too, because I feel like they're with you sometimes for a time, and then you can share them with others, and then they've done their healing that they need to do with you, and off they go. And then the same thing sometimes, like, not that it often happens, but sometimes I have had them, where they've just broken. Like, I had a beautiful, like, Liberian laser wand about that long, and I did a lot of work with it. And then one day I took it to the beach, and as soon as I laid it in the ocean, it just like popped, and it just like popped in half almost.
Wow.
But I didn't actually get rid of that one, because I was like, well, it has served a purpose, but I'm like, but it's got more to do, you know. So
Mhm.
I actually got the air hardening clay, and I just wrapped like a little bandage, and then I put a little moldavite on the
Oh,
top. So I still do work with that one, but that was just like, it was so bizarre. Like, it's like the instant it hit the ocean water, it just like popped in two, and I thought, wow, that's a pretty big activation right there. So
yeah.
like, it wasn't its time to go. It wasn't like I dropped it or anything like that. It had just yeah. So it's amazing, I think. And just, you know, like the energy. I mean, a lot of us, we all know about, like, you know, quartz and how it can store information. And I
Hmm.
find it funny when people say that it's so woo-woo or out there, and you're like,
No.
well, there's quartz chips in computers, you know, there's just so much to them. And I think, you know, we're only sort of really finding out, I mean, you know, and relearning like how much ancient energy and codes and things they hold.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they're amazing tools, and, you know, made by Mother Earth. It's so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's some cool stories. You reminded me of something that I was talking with Guardian. He had I was trying to look up. I'm not that great at the names of crystals,
What's
but
that? You haven't?
I'm not that great with the names of crystals, so I had to look it
Oh,
up.
yes, yeah.
But
I'm the same though too. There's so many of them, right? So you get blanks about it sometimes, but yeah, no, there's
yeah,
just so many. Yeah.
it was a black tourmaline,
Oh,
and
yes. Yep.
a really thick pendant that he had, and he was sleeping with it.
Yeah.
During the night, he had some really, this was a couple of years ago, some unpleasant kind of energies that came to him. And
Okay. Yep.
he had this interaction in his like half sleep state. When he
Yep.
woke up, it was broken into four pieces, and it was thick, and like
Wow.
it worked. It did its
Wow.
job.
It shielded him for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, that's incredible, isn't it? To think that it's come through the astrals and then actually physically broken that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Isn't
No,
it?
it blows your mind, doesn't it? Things like that happen. I've had things happen too. Like when I lived on a property, it was down near Bundaberg, so it was a few acres and in between sort of sugarcane fields. And
Mhm.
I used to put my crystals out, and I had about 4 wands, and I put them up under this tree and to leave them there to cleanse them. And came back and they were gone. And I looked, and then I started doubting myself. I'm like, was it the right tree? And I looked and looked and looked, and that they were just gone. And it was about 3 weeks later, I'd sort of, you know, just sort of come to terms and let it go. Went
Mhm.
back, and they were exactly there. They were there at the tree, you know. And I've had things. It's not just crystals. I've had other things like that too. And I've got a theory about it. I think sometimes, you know, things go into another dimension or through a portal somehow, and then they reappear. Or other things, like if I've lost my glasses or whatever, and you know you've put them in a spot and you can search for days, and then you
Yeah.
come back and then they're there. I sometimes wonder whether you're sort of yourself in a different, like you're more 4D at one point, or then you're more 5D or something, and then you're coming in and out of that, you know, or back more 3D. And then so it looks like it's disappeared, but then it sort of, I don't know, it's reappeared somehow. It's
Mhm.
bizarre. But those particular wands, when I found them again, they had changed color. Like there was a clear quartz one, it had a lot more rainbows in it, you know, within the quartz. And then it was an ametrine wand. The purple was a lot brighter. The yellow, the citrine in it was a lot like more orange, and I could just feel the energy. And then I thought, well, who knows what happened, but it felt like they were activated. So that was interesting too, because that property actually, then a few months later, that's when I had an experience with like a massive like mothership, which was just above a tree line, and then it dropped off a smaller one, a smaller little craft. So I think that whole area, like I was really drawn to move there. And I think that particular area, it was like just so high vibrational, and yeah, with a lot of activity and things going on. So yeah, that was pretty amazing. So since then, I thought, that's just amazing. And I've just thought of another thing, actually. I have a pendant, and it's a faceted clear quartz. So it's like in a star. It's like a pentagon shape, 5-sided, but the actual quartz, they've faceted it so it looks like a star shape. It's a star shape. You can see like a star inside it. And I was wearing that, and I had a dream that I was in the ocean, and there was all these dolphins, and they were like playing with me and everything like that. And then in the dream, one of them got the pendant, and they were throwing it to each other and playing with it. And when I woke up, the way it was set in the 5 corners with just sterling silver. It had moved. It was slightly. It wasn't symmetrical anymore. It was slightly just turned to the side, so it had actually moved. And then like I tried to move it back, and I couldn't. And I just thought, wow. Like, yeah. And even though it kind of annoyed me because it wasn't quite symmetrical, I'm like, come on, that's amazing. Like the energy now that's in that. It's like you just can't make this stuff up. When it happens, it blows you away at the same time, because your usual conscious brain is like, but how? Like, surely not. But then the evidence is right there, right? So it's like, be quiet, brain. My heart knows what's going on.
Yeah. Let your logic move aside for a minute. It's hard to do sometimes.
Yeah. That's what I find. I find things will happen, and then that side will always try and come in and like sort of go, oh, that can't be true, or that didn't happen, And then it's like, no, come on. Yeah.
I have a fun story to say too. Like, so remember, it was April 8th when we had that total eclipse, and it was a big deal. It was like, I think 2 years ago. I can't remember anymore how many. I can't believe it's Friday.
It all merges, right?
Yeah. Well, I had gone and got this crystal, this clear quartz crystal. I'm holding it now. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. But at the time, it was perfectly clear. Like
yes.
And it was, we live in the crystal part of this country. There's crystals everywhere. You pick them up out of the ground all the time. Yeah. And I'd gone with a group of us to this place and gotten this particular crystal. And during the eclipse, the process was just starting. I'm like, well, I'll hand it to each person and let them hold it for a bit. And one of the individuals was holding it in his hands. And for a little while, you could tell he was doing something. He was focused and doing some work with it. And then after a little while, I was like, okay, well, the eclipse is almost total, so maybe I should, start to. Are you done yet? I asked him, and he opened his hands up like this, and the smoke came out. He didn't see the smoke. I saw the smoke, and I was like, "Did you see that smoke?" And he's no, and he held it. He gave it to me, and look how murky it is now.
Oh wow! Yes,
it wasn't like that when I handed it to him, and he wasn't bending it or doing. He was just holding it.
Yeah. Well, do you know what I've heard before that when they're more clear, that's more masculine, and then when they get that cloudiness, that's more the feminine energy. So that's really interesting. Like, but then it happened like that, like instantly too, because usually, like if they're clear, or if they've got that more smoky look, they're like that. But wow.
Yeah.
So he was putting some pretty amazing energy into that then.
Yeah, the smoke just
interacted like.
I know, it's crazy.
That's amazing. I love it when stuff like that happens. And it's so cool you saw the smoke too. I find that interesting too, that sometimes someone can see something and then the other person might not. Like when I saw that craft years ago, it was with my best friend. She was there too. When we spoke later, she actually didn't see the mother, because I saw this mothership. It just sort of appeared out of smoke. It was silent. It was massive, like the size of a football field. And then it dropped off this little triangular shaped one, which was like the size of a car. She didn't see the mothership appear or disappear. She just saw the like the little scout one, the car shaped one. So I thought that was interesting. But I definitely saw it. It appeared, and then this other one came out of it, and then it disappeared. So it's amazing. And then both of my ex-partner now, but our partners at the time, they were down, because it was like 1:30 in the morning. They were off down the back of the property, like hunting toads or something like that, being men, like doing something silly, the way they did anyway. And they didn't see anything at all. So I thought that's interesting too. Like, I think depending where you're sort of vibrating at, you'll see different things than others may not and stuff like that. So yeah, that's interesting too about you seeing the smoke. Yeah.
The smoke does seem to be based in spirit in a lot of ways. I'm curious. So, because typically, in my experience, whenever there's craft involvement, then it's like an ushering in, or it's like it seems like that happens, and then there's an event, or you notice a phase of your development shifting. Did something change in your world right after that?
Absolutely everything changed. So that's actually, it was after I saw that, was then I was guided to make crystal grids. So that was linked. I think I felt like I don't know how long we were standing there watching that. Like, it felt like it could have been 20 seconds, or it felt like forever, if you know what I mean. It just, and it was like an activation. Like, we weren't scared at all. Like, I thought that I would be petrified if I ever saw something like that close range, but there was no fear. It was like, it was a heart activation, and it was so powerful. When we sort of came to, because when the bigger one had disappeared and then the little one zoomed off, that one actually made a bit of noise when it flew towards the ocean, down towards the beach. You could see underneath it, it sort of made a sound. It was like, so like a little, it was jet propelled something. But when that left, I sort of came to, and then I realized so when I feel like sort of angelic energy and things like that, I can't control it. I'll start to cry. Like, my eyes will just, because of that feeling, it's just so powerful and loving and things. And it was the same thing. It was like I had all these tears. I didn't realize in the moment while it was sort of activating us, but when they both left, I was like, oh my God, like, I had all these tears. And then I told a lady who'd been a mentor for a long time and a healer for me, I told her about it, and she said, you need to journal, like, to see what's going to come through, and to sort of figure out maybe who the craft was, all that sort of thing. So I started doing that, but it wasn't just writing. It was a lot of, like, symbols and things like that coming through. And so I looked up online. I was sort of, because I was getting certain colors and blues and purples and these symbols, and then I actually found a website, and it was a Pleiadian page, and I can't even remember the website now, but no joke, like, the main picture they had, it was almost identical, the symbols and stuff I'd been drawing, and I thought, wow, because I didn't know really much about different species and things like that back then. Like, my best friend, like, who was there with me, she was getting right into I think it's Janosch, and I think he might have written Arcturian books and things. So she'd been getting right into that, and she had pictures that this man had done artwork and activation artworks and things. So I think like, she was calling that in quite strongly, and so that's sort of all I knew was the Arcturians, and then I was like, oh, Pleiadians. So then I went down that whole rabbit hole, and then so then I kept journaling, and then it came through that I needed to start working with all these crystals I'd collected, because I really just would have them around, or sometimes, I'd sleep with them under my pillow and things, but I didn't really do that much with them. And so that's when I started doing the grid work and things. And it's interesting, because over the years, like, I'm not like huge on following, like, I do enjoy hearing other people's experiences and stuff about ETs and things, but I'm not like always looking at stuff and into it. But I have noticed over the years, sometimes when I've made a grid, and then a few days later, I'll see that there was a crop circle, and it can be quite similar, like the formation or certain things. And I'll go, wow, okay, I wonder if I was picking up on that energy somehow. It's bizarre. So that changed, but also, everything changed for me. So that was my son's dad that I was with. So we bought that acreage, and then it was within 6 months, I I'd left him because that was a very toxic, sort of abusive relationship. I quit alcohol, so I didn't drink anymore. We had to sell the property, unfortunately. I wanted to stay, but single mum, I couldn't afford to keep it on my own. So I ended up moving back further up north to where I am now, in Gladstone. That's where I grew up. And then because my parents are up here, and I went back to work, but then I got into disability support. So I changed careers and I started doing that. And then it was about 2 years later as well that I met Joel, like my partner now. So it shifted absolutely everything.
Wow.
In my, like pretty much, yeah, everything changed for the better. And I've said before, like I think when I spoke to Todd Medina about it, I feel like I needed to have that level of contact. I think my star family was like, she needs something to really shake her up and wake her up, like, because I was so far on the wrong path.
Yeah.
It had to be something pretty big, I think, to really to get me to change, because, you know, like a lot of people and being human, I guess you can get very in your own head, and I can be a bit stubborn and things like that. So so I think I really needed that to awaken me and to get me on a whole different path, because where I was going was not going to be the best for my development, I guess. So yeah,
Get your attention.
I think it released a lot of fear for me too. You know, like for people that I know, a lot of people have been in abusive relationships, and it can be part of that, like dark night of the soul, you know, that whole spiritual growth. But it just changed my whole paradigm about how I thought about everything, you know, like everything changed the way that I'd seen the world before. I'm like, because I did believe aliens and UFOs and everything, or what do they call them now? UAPs.
Yeah. So.
I did believe that was all like real. Like I was never, that doesn't exist. But, you know, I guess until you've had that experience yourself, it's sort of easy for your brain to doubt it and sort of question. And so it was amazing, actually. And that's, I think, when a lot of stuff started coming online for me as far as like spiritual development and everything. So yeah, it was amazing. Awesome. Yeah.
Well, I have to ask you a question, because some people in the audience might not know what a crystal grid is.
Oh.
Would you like to explain? I know what it is. But...
Yeah. So I guess it's a lot around, so you can put your intent into what, it's not just about manifesting. I guess for me, it's like my intent always for my grids, I don't try and have specific things like, you know, I want to attract this one thing. It'll be more for balance. So I'm always like mindful of not trying to put too much intent on something, because it might put things out of balance. So I always do it for like balance and clearing energy. Although you can do it for certain things, like if you were sick or something, I guess you could do it for that. And the way I sort of do it is, if you want to, like say you wanted to work on anxiety for yourself, so you could have a central crystal point. Then you could even like write on a piece of paper what you were wanting to manifest out of the grid, or you can put a photo of yourself underneath the central one, and then I would point like the energy, like the clear quartz points. So like I would point them all inwards towards that central point. But if I was doing a grid for like small piece on Earth or something like that, I would more so have the the central focus pointing outwards, because you want it to sort of radiate out everywhere. And then you can use different things, like if you have a sphere, a crystal sphere, that's more of a general energy, you know, rather than a crystal point where it's very directed. And then you can do crystal grids for like every sort of gem or mineral. They're going to have their own vibrational level that they work at, whereas something like a clear quartz like that, you know, you can kind of program that more for everything. So I feel like that's probably why I guess they use quartz and computers and stuff, because it's so adaptable. Whereas I would say something else like, like this labradorite, it's going to have a more specific, like a lot of people use labradorite for protection, and but because it's got that rainbow shine, and they have their own sort of uses and energetic signatures, I think, anyway. And you can look up meanings of what's good for what, but I also think, you can Google like, what could I use labradorite for? And that can be helpful. But I think also it's about what it does for you, because I think different crystals are going to feel different for different people, if you know what I mean. Like some people will prefer to use certain ones. And actually, I'm wearing labradorite too. I've been wearing that for weeks now. I've been
awesome.
working with that a lot. Yeah. So, and then the color comes into it as well. So a lot of times you can match up those chakra colors with the crystals you want to use. So like if you're wanting to work on your root chakra and grounding, that's usually like your red, your brown or black crystals.
Yeah.
And then, like your heart chakra can be the pinks or greens, or you could use or any, really, like your clear quartz you could use on any chakra, So I think the best thing is just to go by your own intuition. But I certainly I do love reading crystal books and stuff too. And I used to do that a lot more than what I do now. Like I used to just read up about all of them. And whereas now, I don't tend to do that so much. But I will still look at things up at time to time, because you think, oh, what was that one good for again, But I think grids are really good. And then you can also do them like you see them at a lot of events now. People have like the sound healing cacao ceremonies, and quite often there'll be a crystal grid as like a focal point in the center and things. And I think it's just it can be a beautiful way to have like a group setting, and having a group of people coming, and then people can also build them together. And that's also a really amazing thing to do as well. Everyone's sort of combining their energy too. I think it's nice. And then you can add so many things to them. Like I often you can add flowers, or nice leaves, or like I did one last night. It was with coral and shells, so you can bring in the other elements too, depending what you're feeling at the time. So that's what I love about it too. I sort of see it like it's like a healing modality, but I also see it like it's a form of art as well. So you've got those elements. I've worked at a florist over the years a few times too, so I love working with flowers. So I love bringing, you're bringing in the flowers and the plants. That's sort of feels like you're bringing in like the fairy and elemental sort of energies, and it's just it's amazing. It's sort of, you're unlimited to what you can create, and that's what I like, I think, because when I've always done art, I've always found I enjoy sculpture and things more than drawing. Like I just can't get the same effects with drawing, like what I see in my head and what I can get out. I just don't get the same thing with that as like something more sculptural. And then I guess crystal grids feels like it's just builds on that. So it's like, I feel like a little kid sometimes when you're playing around with them and arranging things. And I've also said to people sometimes it's almost like some people like doing jigsaw puzzles, and some people like me like making crystal grids. So yeah, it can just be both of my kids at different times have got into it, especially when they were littler. Like my son's 14 now, so he wouldn't want to make one now, but especially when they were younger, they'll have a play too, and they quite enjoy it as well. So, and you do see a lot of young kids, they're naturally drawn to stones and crystals at markets and things. So
I just wanted to show an example. That's one of yours.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I actually did one last night for the show. It was so what came through, it was the corals and the shells, and I sort of felt was sort of Lemurian Atlantean kind of vibe, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting that's come through, because I was I asked my guides, I'm like, what sort of grid? Like, let's just make one for Pamela and I in the show. And so it was about like expression. So I've got blue ones in there and things. But then I was guided to use like lepidolite and an auralite 23 and amethyst. So the purple, sort of the purple crown chakra, and then there's blue, and then there was also pink. So rhodonites and like inner child thing stones as well. So yeah, I often will just start creating and just see what comes through. I don't often just sit there and go, well, I need to add this or this. I'll just sort of sit for 5 or 10 minutes, connect with my guides, and then just start creating. So a lot of times I'm a bit surprised with what comes through too, because I'm like,
Right.
I sort of keep away from doing the logical brain side of things and just try it. Like, I find I just get in a flow state. It's just fun to create and then that's in my backyard. So I love doing them out on the earth as well, and at the beach. I think that one's got old man's beard around the edge. Yeah, the diamond shape from my plants.
I love it. There's so many examples and so many ways to do these things, and
Yes.
I feel like when people first start, they might feel like they don't know what they're doing and they're doing it right and all this kind of stuff. And I didn't even know what we were doing. She started doing it when she was a baby. I didn't know. I just liked it, and so it just like you said, a lot of times she would have like acorns and leaves and sticks and stuff and feathers and shells and stones, and it wasn't always something we would call crystals.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, because I think rocks really hold that knowledge, don't they? They've got that ancient, that knowledge. And I'm the same. I love using just stones as well, because it's all about how humans categorize it, isn't it? Like, and the value they attribute to it. Like, but a stone can hold just as much healing energy, you know what I mean, as a crystal bought from a shop. Actually, if not more, because then it hasn't been ripped out of the ground in a mine and then, left in a shop. And that's another thing I'd say. When you buy crystals, make sure you do cleanse them very well before you work with them too. So you're not picking up chaotic energy or other people's energy and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And something else too about stones is they found you.
Yes.
You didn't find them, right?
Yes.
And so it feels more aligned somehow.
That's right. And one thing my daughter and I always look for is heart-shaped rocks. And we get so excited if you're on a walk and you find a heart-shaped rock. It's just like, oh.
Yeah.
So good.
I'm so that person. Like, I've seen all these memes and jokes about it, but I'm that person.
Yeah.
Look at this rock I found.
Oh, that's it. That's exactly it. Rock or feather or stick or like, it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
there's this these earrings I wanted to show you because they're also labradorite. This somebody named Starry Ari, she made these, and they're
oh wow,
moon shaped, right? And
they're gorgeous.
I didn't know about the point thing that you just talked about when I first got them, but I've learned when I use them that if I'm or doing a session with somebody or something like that, I would have it pointed out. And then if I was, and then other times it's pointed toward me because both sides are different, right?
Yeah, so it could go inwards or then outwards. That makes sense.
And I could just tell that there would be a result. And I really thought about there being a science to it, but that's just something I've naturally done.
They're really pretty. I love the color in that.
Isn't it?
And are they faceted
like
too? It looked like they were shining the light. Oh, that's gorgeous.
I like the real jaggedy ones. I don't like them rounded too much. But like you can't see as much color in it as you would be able to if it was like, I don't know, we have like I think it is faceted. I think it is.
Yeah, that's it. It catches the light. It's that, I think they call it not phosphorescence. It's something like where how the color changes and moves, because moonstone's a bit like that too. Like you can get that rainbow shimmer.
Yeah.
I love how unique and different they all are as well. Like just because you've got one piece of like labradorite and then you'll see another and it's so different, it's
Yeah.
it's like people,
And then
I
I
guess.
can show you this. I don't know if you know about where I live, but
No.
crystals are everywhere around here. It's a big deal. Like,
Wow.
and it's so funny because so these kind of crystals are the ones that people care about. This one
Yes.
was found. Okay, like
Oh,
this is
wow.
yeah, and it still has its dirt on it, like because
Oh,
I just
that's
don't want to clean it.
amazing.
But like
I love
the
that.
ones that you usually see around here, they consider them junk because there's
Oh,
so many
okay.
of the. But like this, this is garbage
Wow.
around here. Like no
Is
one
that
wants them.
like, is that, oh, but they're gorgeous. That's just the natural form. That is
Yeah,
so
it's
nice.
got milky and clear quartz and
Yep.
obsidian and copper's in here too. And here's
Wow.
I think this is like a natural or organite. You can't really see the obsidian
Wow.
very good, but
That's beautiful. And
yeah,
then the
like
copper would enhance all the energy of the other crystals in there too. So it's amplifying it all. That's gorgeous.
can't really
No, I
see.
think that's really
There's
special.
isn't that
It's
neat?
like a mini
There's a whole
mountain.
bunch of them. I have them in every corner of my house. I've made a grid of my
Oh, yeah.
house.
That's so
Yeah,
good. You just be like vibrating
yeah.
there.
But what's weird about it though is that it looks like someone came over with a helicopter and just dropped them. They're all just on the surface of the
Wow.
ground all over here.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's even
crazy.
more special, I think, that you find your own. That's so cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's really neat. But
There's
it just
there's
tells you
places in
about
Australia where you can get go as well. But I haven't been fossicking yet, but I'd love to. I think up in North Queensland, um, Agate Creek, I think it's called. So you can, and they say it's the same thing. You just go walk along, and there's like amethysts, and then citrine, and then smoky, and then agates, and yeah, it's just that you've often got to travel quite out back to go to find it. But I definitely want to. Like, I think that would be so amazing just to go do a little trip. Because I spoke to a man at the markets when I lived in Bundaberg, and that's what he and his wife used to do every year. They would go to Agate Creek and fossick and stuff. But he said it wasn't even that you're having to dig; they were just lying on the ground, like same thing. So I guess over time, the rest of the dirt must wash away, and then that's what's left. But
yeah.
you're right; it would just look like a helicopter's dropped them off. Hey.
Yeah, it's so, and you drive down the road and it looks like because the white. When I first saw it, I thought it was like
Yeah.
styrofoam. People had been littering,
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah.
no, it's just crystals, and
Wow.
like there was these forest rangers guys that were like so glad that we were getting them. They're like, I'm glad you're getting the big ones out of here. People trip over them all the time. It's so
Oh,
annoying. Like, okay.
so whereabouts are you? What state are you in?
I'm in Arkansas. It's the
Arkansas.
diamond state here. It's the only place
Wow.
in this country that has naturally forming diamond mines too.
Oh, wow. Do they
So
have the
like,
Herkimer's there too? The Herkimer diamonds?
see, I don't know.
I like the, yeah,
That
probably. I know that Herkimer's, you can get them in America. There's, yeah, because they're like the clear quartz, but they're really high vibrational and they're a bit smaller. They're like the double
oh yeah,
trifinated often. Yeah. Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I'm at the base of the Ozark Mountains. I don't know if you know about the Ozarks.
No.
Like that's where Dolores Cannon's all set up. Her
Oh,
estate's there.
okay. Yep.
So we're pretty close to where she is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're in a high vibe
It's
area.
It's weird too. There's like all kinds of weird communities out here. Like you got because it's the Bible Belt,
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So because of the frequency of the area, you have all kinds of like groups of different types of like spiritual
Yep.
and religious people, like
Yep.
little almost cults, I guess,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know, but then also,
I was going to say it's
and
interesting. It sounds like the homeschoolers. There's a whole mix, like I've found locally, there's a whole mix of people that homeschool. So you've got the ones doing it because it's for their religious reasons. And then there's
yeah,
the ones that homeschool because their kids are neurodivergent and the schools aren't, able to provide the right environment. And then you've got like the full unschoolers that love to, they'll travel around and the kids learn through everyday interactions and things. I love it. Yeah, it sounds a little bit similar.
Yeah, very much. And that's also we homeschool too.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to get into that topic. I didn't mean to I don't want to leave it this subject unless you're done with that part.
No, it's all good. I'm happy to talk homeschooling for sure.
I'm really curious because I know we have a lot in common in this too, is that, so first of all, I can really resonate with your neurospiciness,
Oh, yeah.
That's what I call it, neurospicy.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of these diagnoses and stuff that I just haven't really connected with. I don't, it's good to unlabel, but
that's exactly it. And it's what you feel comfortable with, I think, too, isn't it? Because some people will resonate to certain things, and everyone's so different. Neurodivergence, it's just such a big umbrella and spectrum. So one person will resonate with and another won't so much. But I've heard the neurospicy thing a lot too. I think it's cool. Yeah.
Because there's all kinds of things that you can call someone, and it helps some people to have these things and some others. And I'm finding, so she was given the people when she was younger, I didn't let them give her an official diagnosis or anything like that. But they wanted to call her Einstein syndrome.
Oh, okay.
And so there's a lot to that, and it did help me understand. And that's why I wanted to bring that up. So it's it's good to know, because then so how was that journey for you, first of all, as a mom? Because you were already full on in the mama zone when you came through this process.
It was eye-opening. So my son, he was always really high energy as a young kid, even as a baby. He wouldn't sit still. You'd be holding him. He'd lunge this way. And I said to my mum when he was little, I said, I think he's got ADHD. And she was like, oh, no, he's just an active young kid, And so, you just go along with it. And then he went to school, and then, so notice things, because, school and making them sit in the class for so long, and when they're little and they want to move. So things sort of came up a bit then. And so he ended up getting diagnosed with ADHD. It wasn't until he was grade 2, though, because when he was, the thing is too, when kids have been through trauma, which he went through abuse, unfortunately, with his biological dad when he was in his care. So the pediatrician was like, we've got to unpack whether this is, from going through trauma, or whether it is true ADHD, because when kids are being through physical abuse and stuff, they can get very hypervigilant, and it can sort of show as that. So we worked with a social worker for a year, and he made a lot of progress and healing and things, and he did play therapy as well. But his energy levels and all those other things were ramping up still. So then they were like, okay, he's ADHD. So I knew there was that, but his biological dad was very much like that too. So I was just like, oh, well, he's just like that because of his dad. And then when Joel and I had my daughter, well, actually, when I met Joel, he had a different diagnosis, and he was on all these medications, which he never should have been on. And I was working as a support worker when I met him, and a lot of my clients were autistic. And there were so many similarities I could see between them and Joel. And I said to him, I don't think you've got the right diagnosis. I think you're actually high functioning autistic. And he's like, okay. And then, but we didn't do anything much about it. And then we had Jasmine, and we could just tell there was differences there with her and stuff. So when she went to kindergarten at 4, we just said to the teachers, look, we think she may be autistic. Can you just, see how she goes at kindy and let us know? And then after a few months, they were like, okay, we can sort of see some traits. So their suggestion was to go to a speech pathologist, because Jasmine did have a few difficulties with certain speech sounds and things like that. She also, so it sort of became more apparent when she was at kindy and then school that she was having a few social difficulties with, not so much with boys, which is interesting, but fitting in with girls. That was tricky for her. So by the end of the kindy year, by about October, we pulled her out of kindy because she was gradually, her mental health was getting worse and worse. And the teachers were sort of saying, oh, she just likes to play by herself at the dollhouse. And I'm like, no, she doesn't like that, but she doesn't really know what, like by the end of the year, the girls had already formed their little groups and she was finding it hard to maintain friendships and things. And then it got to the point she was having nightmares about having to go, and she would say, I'm so sad at kindy, mummy, you know, I just think about you all day. And it was sad. So so we pulled her out and I said, okay, we'll look into getting diagnoses. Sorry, I get a bit emotional because it's, you know, it's your kids. So we went down that track. And then when she got diagnosed, they were like, oh, we don't think it's just autism. We think it's ADHD. And she's also always been very energetic and she can't really sit still much and things. So when I was reading up all about the info about those, I was like, oh, wow. Like the female presenting autistic traits and stuff, because, you know, like I was born in 1981 and like growing up in the 80s and 90s, there really wasn't much talk around. Here's my kitty.
Oh,
Lucy. Yeah, there wasn't really much talk around about those things. Like even anxiety and stuff, there wasn't all that much, you know, in the general sort of media and stuff. It wasn't really spoken about. So, oh no, I don't want you to do that. Oh, hang on, you've gone. I'll have to find you. She pressed the button.
We can still see.
Oh, that's not it. Hi, kitty.
We can still see and hear you, just so you know.
Okay, oh, that's good. I'm just trying to. I can't see you guys, that's all.
I love it when fur babies come on, but they always want to
touch stuff. She pressed the button, so I can't see you. What's this app called again?
Restream.
Oh yeah, I've just got to find it. Hang on. There we go. I'm back.
That was fun.
Oh, Lucy. Yeah, so I read up about it and it really clicked. I was like, oh, wow. Like, because growing up, I was quite a shy child and I always had my head in a book and, you know, but I sort of was able to cope with school and stuff, but for me, it was always more internal, like a lot of anxiety, social anxiety, but I would just keep pushing through. But then as I became an adult, like the second year after I left school, I had like about 6 months where I really couldn't function. You know, it was like a dark night of the soul. I think it was just everything. And now I've realized it was actually like an autistic burnout, and for people that sort of aren't autistic or don't know, like for a lot of autistic, and I'm speaking for myself, like I'm only one person with it. Like I'm not going to say I'm a spokesperson for everyone with autism, but it's pretty common that autistic people can get to a level of autistic burnout because of just being in the world and the way it is. You know, like when you go to a shopping center, if you've got sensory sensitivity. So for me, bright lights is a lot. So I'll often wear sunglasses in the shops because of all the fluoros. I'm like, I just can't deal with it. But a lot of autistic people will have like sound sensitivity and need to wear the, you know, headphones. And so all of that, they've actually found now that autistic brains and stuff are actually processing everything. I think it's like 40% more because of their brain and the way your synapses are. So neurotypical people, as they grow, their brain prunes off the synapses. So they've got more direct pathways with processing and information and all that. Whereas a lot of autistic people, the brain doesn't prune as many synapses. So it's kind of cool because you've got more different pathways in the brain. So I guess you've got that creativity and stuff. But then in a busy environment, it can be a disability because you're hearing things that it's like more overwhelming. The light's brighter, the noise is experienced more, you know. So yeah, and I think, and then if like autistic people over time are trying to keep up with neurotypical standards and keep pushing themselves, which is what I did, without understanding why they're like that, that's when you can get to a point of burnout where you just can't even function anymore. Like your body's been in fight or flight for so long that you go into that burnout and you just can't get out of bed. And that's the way I was for a while. And for some people, they say like burnout can last for years, like it can be really debilitating. But yeah, so anyway, so then I was like, okay, well, I think I'll get diagnosed, and then just to see what comes out of it. I've just got my arm up because the cat's back.
I can hear her rubbing on it.
She is there. Let's see. Yeah. So, and then when I went through that process, they were like, oh, well, we think you've got ADHD as well. And I was like, really? Like, because I'm not outwardly, hyperactive. But then when I read up about how that sort of presents, you can have the racing thoughts and all of this other stuff. And I'm like, oh, it was like a light bulb. I went, oh, so maybe my son isn't ADHD just because of his dad. You know what I mean? So, but then, so I found that the diagnoses for me, it just explains so much. And I used to give myself such a hard time, like growing up, my inner voice, I'd just be like, why, if I was like, I could go out places, but then I would need a lot more time to recover. And I would just get so overwhelmed in crowds. And when I was younger, especially in that sort of 18, 19 sort of age, if I had to wait in a line at a shopping centre for more than about 5 minutes, I just couldn't deal. Like I would just panic and have to go. Whereas as I've gotten older, it's good. Like it's gotten a lot less, luckily. But so it just explains so much for me. And then I was able to sort of really give myself much less of a hard time. And the answers, the whys were there, and that changed everything. It's like, so instead of going, why am I like this? I'm a freak. Like, this is what I used to think when I was a teenager, I'm a freak. What's wrong with me? You'd have all this horrible self-talk. Right. Whereas now, if you're sort of going through that, if I feel myself starting to get overwhelmed at a shop and I've been there for an hour, I'm like, it's okay. It's just time to go. And you just need to go get grounded and be away from the fluoro lights and away from and when you think about it, I mean, that's a pretty normal response. Like I think modern society, the way it is now, it's not very natural anymore. And I think, so if you're not always coping with that, it's not a bad thing and it doesn't make you a bad person. It's just that you need to build in more supports and have more coping things under your belt to sort of, to function. And that's what we ended up doing with my daughter, because she went to school and did her prep year and then did one term last year of grade 1. And then it was just too much for her. It was too overwhelming. The schools around here are really big anyway. So there's like 120 kids per grade level. It was just a lot. Yeah, they're all massive. And she was in fight or flight, I think, a lot of the day. And she was masking and trying to hold it all together. So our teachers didn't even really see that she was struggling, because she's sitting there, she's compliant, she's doing what they're asking, but they weren't seeing when I'd pick her up, she'd have a massive meltdown. She'd be kicking and punching the back of the car seat going home, because she's held it together all day. It was just too much for her. And then the school refusal, like, I don't know what it's like in America, but in Australia now, there's a lot in the media about kids refusing to go to school, but it's beyond that. It's because there's been a lot of younger children, a lot have been diagnosed now, and it's interesting because the way I kind of see neurodivergence, like, I don't want to say it's not a disability, because I think when you've got a spectrum of people, if you're a higher functioning person and you say this isn't a disability, it really doesn't do justice to the people that are struggling and those families that have kids that are nonverbal and having all these having to deal with like their behavior because when they have a meltdown, they'll punch holes in walls and stuff. You've got that extreme side of it, but then you've got some people like me who don't experience it to that level. So I think while I could say, oh, it's like my superpower, you know, and it gives, and I'm creative and I can do this, this, and this. I think you've got to be careful because even though I might experience it that way, you can't say that for everyone that's what autism's like, you know. So, yeah. And I think that's interesting. So the last few years in the sort of disability spaces, I've been following a lot of different people and I've learned a lot from them. And that's sort of the main thing I've learned is that like everyone has a different experience of it. And then some people will need less support than others. But but for me, like I've been able to live a completely like normal life, I would say, you know, but I just do have a lot of mental health stuff, you know, like under anxiety and stuff I deal with daily. But I think if someone met me out and about, they would never think that, they would look at me and not think that I had a disability, you know what I mean? So, but they don't see the times when you can't function or the times when you're so overwhelmed and having meltdowns or, you know, and I think when you've got kids too, a lot of women I've read as well don't realize that they're neurodivergent either until they've had kids and then their kids have been diagnosed, just like me. Or they talk about when they go through menopause and perimenopause and then all of a sudden like their hormones are all changing and then it feels like the wheels have fallen off your wagon sort of thing, like, and they're going, what is going on with me? And so it's like a whole, I feel like for me it's been a whole it's been a journey, and that's why I wrote my book and called it like My Autism and ADHD Awakening, because it felt like that's how it felt for me. It felt like it was an awakening. It was like, wow, this explains who I am. You know, I'm not just a bit weird or quirky. It's like I've actually been dealing with these things my whole life, and now I can understand why the whys. It just gives me so much more compassion for myself and just being kinder to myself and just being like, well, and that's the other thing, like you got fluctuating capacity. Some days I just feel like I can do all the things and I can, and then other days I'm just so burnt out and I might just be lying on the couch for half the day, you know, and that's okay. It's just like letting myself rest, you know, when I need to rest. If it's been a big week, it's like it's okay to rest, you know, instead of flogging yourself thinking that you have to just keep going and so I guess. And then one of my psychologists has said to me, you know, she pointed out, she said, like, you advocate so well for your kids and you're so compassionate and kind to them, so you got to do it for yourself too, you know, like you're worth it too. You know, your needs are just as valid, even though you're the mum and you've got to do all the things. It's really important that you've got to nurture yourself and look after yourself, because if you don't, then all the rest is going to, you know, fall apart too. So I think that's been important too. Like, like I see a psychologist quite regularly, and I find that really helps me to just be able to talk through stuff and then like process stuff, and then just to have someone that's been able to hold space for you. And it's not like you're dumping on your friends or your family. It's like you've got someone there that's getting paid to do it, you know. And I've found that's been a huge game changer for me anyway, because it's allowed me that safe space and things to be able to talk through what's going on. And sometimes like I do need a bit of extra support with like social interactions. Like if something's happened, I'd be like, oh, do you think I've read too much into this or whatever? Because I've realized that as well. Like growing up as a young adult, I had a lot more male friends at uni. And that's another thing they say. They're like, a lot of autistic women find they get on really well with men, because like there's a lot more social rules and etiquettes and unspoken rules with women often than men. They reckon women have the most social rules and higher, you know, expectations. And then you've got, neurotypical women, and then you've got, they reckon neurotypical men and autistic women are about the same, and then you've got autistic men. So as far as like, and I noticed that with my daughter, she even said it like in grade 1, she's like, oh, it just feels easy to play with the boys. It just is. And I'm like, I get it, because there's less nuances you have to pick up. There's less, there's all of that. And I think, and that's when I was a teenager, I think that's what I found tricky, because teenage girls, you've got the gossiping, and then you've got all the sort of things that go on. And it's a bit trickier to navigate sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. I resonate with that completely too. Like it's only been probably around the time that I became a mom was about the time I started to have female friends.
Yes.
You know, and before that, I mean, I knew women. They were usually my friends' wives or girlfriends, though.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you have kids, it that does make that easier, doesn't it? Because you've got that common experience. You've got the kids, and you go on play dates and things like that. I found the same thing. Yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah.
But it's good. I think it's good. But, part of me thinks too, like, I don't want to downplay what some people go through with disability. But for me, I kind of think, like, now they say, there's these surging rates of diagnoses. And then I've heard a bit of what Trump said about the whole autism thing and all of that. For me, I just feel like I don't see it as a bad thing. Like, I think a lot of these people and kids that are getting diagnosed, it's like, I think it's going the way maybe that humans were designed to go. Like, they're more, like, there's a lot of, I've spoken to a few people, and their kids were nonverbal when they were very young, but they communicated with their mum. It was like telepathy, you know what I mean? So then you start looking at that side of things. Is it just that as humans, like a whole race, we're changing because the world's changing, and then, like, we're moving up into different frequencies, and the world needs to change. So I think it, for me anyway, I think it's more important to focus on how we can support people with autism and ADHD, rather than always going down this whole narrative of the media of like, what caused it? I think everyone gets so caught up in that. It's from this, it's vaccines, it's diet, it's this, it's genetic. It's like, I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, well, let's just like accept everyone and put that energy into how can we support people, rather than trying to point blame or, because when my daughter was young, I had a couple of people that would say to me, vaccines and gluten and dairy cause autism, and they would keep, and my kids ate gluten at the point, ate dairy, ate gluten, and were vaccinated. And I found that very hard to sit with, because I was just trying to get support for them. And then to have someone come in and constantly kind of almost blame you, make out that it's your fault as a mum because you fed them this food, or, I found that very hard to be around. And so then I took myself away from those spaces, because it's not helpful. It's like, let's just look at how we can do things. And like homeschooling, like, that's been great for my daughter. She's really flourishing, and she's learning a lot more because she's not at school overwhelmed. And she got bullied a little bit as well. Not that the kids knew she was autistic, but just because actually she's very tall. So she was about a head taller than the other kids. And so, what some kids can be like, anything that's different, they'll pick on. So she kept getting told that you're not in grade 1, you're in grade 6, because she is the height of like a 12-year-old, even though she's 8. So, and then I explained to her, I'm like, well, you got to understand, why is that kid doing that? They're probably getting bullied by someone else too. And I said, it's not okay, but I said, it's nothing wrong with you. They're just picking on anyone that's different, So she's not getting no kitty. She's not getting bullied anymore, and then we go to homeschool meets, and then it's really nice because it's smaller groups of kids, and it's just, it's a lot better now, and she's just, I feel like we can get the work done pretty quickly, and then you've got the whole day then to for her to do other things. And no, it's good. It's been great. And I think, I don't know what homeschooling rates are like there, but in Australia, it's just exploded, the amount of people homeschooling.
Mm-hmm. Here too, especially after lockdown happened. People were doing the Zoom meetings for school, and I think that was the first example that most parents had of what actually happens in the classroom setting. They were like, this is what happens in school? What?
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. In fact, when I was pregnant, I remember looking, and it had been doubling every year in this country already. That was back in like 2013. She was born in 2014. And like at that time. And then since then, it's just continued to pick up. Like the way that it's going, I mean, they've even like stopped funding certain education groups in this country because it's just not used anymore.
Wow. Yeah, it's definitely
for.
Yeah. I think it's good too, isn't it? Because you can tailor it to your kid, so your child, so you can bring in the things they're really interested in and focus more on that. And no, it's pretty amazing, really, if you can do it. Like, I know there's a lot of people that, with how expensive everything is these days, I get it too. Some people would say, oh, I'd love to, but, I just can't afford it. We both have to work. And so I think there needs to be a big shift with that, with the schooling, I think, because the school system really hasn't changed that much in hundreds of years. Like, it's just, they need to do better, because it's not working for a lot of the kids now. It's not, kids need to be up and moving and stuck in this room all day. Hey, like,
they have some cool programs too that some people will do there. It's available in some areas around here where it's like the school is outside. And I had my nephews got involved in it, and like they're doing gardening and building and like learning how to cook as little people, like there's real actual engagement, and they do really well in that setting. There's
ones here too. There's like Steiner schools. I don't know if they have Steiner schools there. They've got some in Australia, and they sound similar. Like the kids, they don't have grade levels, and so there's no uniform, and it's more like that hands-on. And but it's very hard to get into them. Like there's huge wait lists and things. But no kitty. She just wants to be part of it. She's like, I just want to jump on the keyboard.
I have this happen all the time when I'm doing sessions and stuff. Everybody, if they have a fur baby, the fur baby's on the screen at some point.
She wants to smooch you. She's like doing it to the computer.
I love animals. I think that might be why too. Like, I just love animals, and they just come to me.
Yeah.
I have a skunk friend. I always have a skunk friend, no matter where I live. But this skunk came in the house. I don't know how it got in the house, and it's never sprayed or anything, but like it's the weirdest thing when you're just kind of meditating and you feel this really soft fur go against your knee, and you're like, what's that? You said it feels like a cat, and then you realize it's what a skunk is a muscular cat, really. They're just real stout, muscular cats.
How big are they? How big is it? Like, how big would it stand?
Yeah, it's a little bit shorter than a cat, and its legs are shorter, and it's like its base is just thicker, more muscular, and like, and their fur is just extra soft. It's really soft, and like I'll have skunks that like will growl and like lunge at people with like energy if they have bad energy. I've had it happen a few times where it's like they're good watchdogs,
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got 2 cats and a dog, and it's funny. Quite often when I'll do a grid, they'll come out. Like I've had times where I've had both cats walking around on it, and then the dog's looking up at the table, like, "What are you doing?"
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
they're drawn to
I judge
energy,
her.
aren't they?
Wait a minute. I don't have a cat. Yep.
Oh, and what the smell of a skunk spraying, that would be putrid, is it? If
Yeah,
they do
actually,
spray.
the narcissist I was with, I was the only person that's ever been sprayed, and
Yeah.
he stepped outside and it sprayed him, and
Oh,
he came right back in, and he brought the smell with him. I've never smelled it to be that strong before. Oh my
yeah.
goodness, that was like really
He's,
intense.
he saved it up. He's like, spray the narc.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Oh,
crazy.
that's funny.
You brought something up. I wanted to go back. Is that okay? I'm just curious. This nonverbal communication thing that you brought up.
Mm,
My
mm.
daughter does this too, like, and
Yeah.
has forever. And in fact, that's actually where the original diagnosis, or they started to consider the diagnosis of Einstein syndrome with her, is that
Yeah.
she didn't really want to talk. She
Yeah.
could, but
Yeah.
she just didn't feel like it, and
Yeah.
like, um, still she's 11, and I still have, and we don't, because we can communicate telepathically so well. Like,
Yes.
when I ask her a question, I already know the answer. I already know,
Yeah.
but I'm just teaching her to use her words,
Yeah.
you know?
That's
And
it.
what she'll do is she'll come over and put my hand on her heart. Just be like,
Oh,
just accept, that this is and I'm like, yeah, I know what you want, but you please use your words,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and I find that to be really common, is that,
That's
like
amazing.
you were saying again, with this, like, with the fluorescent lights and the extra,
Yeah.
that stuff's all outside of normal. It's not
That's
normal,
right. That's
and
right.
so I would say that people who are considered neurodivergent are more just aware of what's disruptive for them,
Yeah.
and halting it before it causes any more long lasting difficulty for them. You
Yeah.
know, like,
That's
that's not
right.
a bad thing.
Yeah. I one of my clients I used to support, he was not well, yeah, non-verbal, but he would communicate, with hand gestures and noises. He also had quite a lot of brain damage, so he wasn't able to use, like, I know some non-verbal people can use the communication boards and things. So, but I used to take him out. It was a pretty big shift. It would be about 6 hours. It was every once a week. And one thing I noticed, he loved being out in nature. So we'd go to the botanical gardens often for lunch. And when we'd be having lunch, he would show me telepathically, like, all this sacred geometry, like sort of like your background there. It would change, but I would see like a movie in my brain, all these different like structures and things like that. And I just thought, wow, like that was telepathic, and he was showing me that, and I just thought, like, he's an amazing, amazing soul,
Yeah.
and that was telepathic. And so just because he doesn't speak, it doesn't mean like he can't communicate. Hey, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that would be it must be incredibly frustrating too, to not be able to get your message across to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. It's and everyone's different too. Like, I think I've been so open about what I went through, and that's why I wrote that book. It's not very long, really, but as I was getting diagnosed, because there was a lot of anxiety, I was thinking, I'm pretty sure I am, but if I'm not, then what is going to explain why I am the way I am, And I thought it would be really helpful if I could read a book of someone that's gone through the same thing. So that's why I wrote that at the time, was to help other people if they're on that journey. And then, I've just got the Facebook page where I share, just because I'd spend probably half an hour a day. I love reading up about autism and ADHD and different things about it. So I just share stuff on that page, sometimes what we're doing and going through, but more like good articles and other things around it, because I
Mhm.
just find it, I just find it really interesting. And I thought, like, I'm not ashamed of it at all. And that's why I thought, by sort of putting it out there and embracing it, it's trying to like normalize it and say, well, there's a whole lot of people. And I find the more I've done that, the more other people come to me and say, I was diagnosed, or I think I've gone through this. And my partner Joel, actually, within his work, the company he works for, he's been advocating as well. So like this week they flew him down to Brisbane, and he was on a panel because it was for National Disability Day. So he spoke about, his experiences and stuff. And I guess I wanted to speak up about it to show that you can be successful and still have a family and a partner and all the things, and still be neurodivergent. Like it's a spectrum, and I guess that's my experience of it. I know there's a lot of families that have a completely different experience, and I'm not trying to like invalidate that, because I think that's the problem. I think you can kind of fall into that sometimes, where, like, there's families that I know that are really, it impacts them all the time,
Yeah.
and it's a lot more severe. But, and also, since I spoke up about it, I've even had members of my own family come forward and say, like, oh, my kids have this or that. And then you sort of realize that, it definitely has a genetic component, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's great. It's like you need that range of people in society. Like, if everyone thought and was the same, it would be so boring.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
I was given a handful of different diagnoses in my earlier years. Like I have CPTSD, I have, I was ADHD, but then
Yep.
also they diagnosed me with Tourette's. Now,
Ah,
this is
yes.
what's interesting is that
Yeah.
um, it wasn't until later in life that I discovered the verbal outbursts that happen are
Yep.
channeled messages.
Ah,
And
yes.
what's really interesting is on the, they'll do the scan and they see the neuroactivity happening, your synapses firing and stuff. And
Yeah.
what Tourette supposedly is false synapses, false firing, like that the synapses
Yeah.
don't. Anyway, it visually looks like a chaotic mess of all these like electricity happening in your brain.
Yeah.
But what's occurring is someone's speaking through me.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
information that's validated and verified on the spot. So
Yeah.
my suggestion here is perhaps all of these things that we talk about that are like, so are people perhaps are calling like out of the norm or something off kilter,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
actually a spiritual alignment of some kind.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree too. I think there's definitely that. Like you said,
Mhm.
it's just that the medical terminology and stuff is so narrow with how they
Yeah,
describe it. Hey, yeah, I think so
yeah,
too. And then, yeah, you can just see, like, there's a lot of people. Like, I often, I might be being biased here, but I often think the most interesting people are neurodivergent. Well, they're the ones I relate to anyway. But you can look back, and I can look at friends that I had and things, and I'm like, oh, that's probably why we got along. They were really quirky too, and they did like
yeah,
similar things too. And you can see it. Hey, it's like, no, I think you're right.
yeah.
And the ADHD, like, I love the, I saw it on Facebook. It's like saying it's attention dialed into a higher dimension. I
Ooh, I
love
like that.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Instead of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, I think,
right.
yeah.
And then the way that they've like fine-tuned and changed their things around, and the I don't know what it is like in Australia, but in the
Yeah.
States they have this it's called the DSM, and they'll
Yes,
like
same.
update
Yeah,
it. Right, okay. And
yeah.
they updated again to take Asperger's off,
Oh, yes. Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
I mean, there's 10 kids in my family between my two parents. That's they they were very busy parents. And
Yeah.
of all those children, every one of us have Aspergian qualities for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and like if you're not able to diagnose it, does that mean that it's not something that I feel like they're superpowers? I really do. Like all of
Yeah.
these.
I know what you mean. I think they took that off because it was linked with what's his name? I met someone, Asperger or something. He was to do with the Nazis. So that's, I think, why they did away with the Asperger's, because of the links to him. But I do think it was, it had a place, didn't it? Because, not using his name, but like the high functioning sort of label, like, because you can be very successful and high functioning and be, yeah. So to take that away and just lump everyone as autistic, I think it's, yeah, I don't know exactly what I feel about it, but I think it sort of did describe it, didn't it? Like it made that differentiation, but I see why they had to take it away because of that link to the Nazis or whatever. But yeah, it's just such a spectrum, right? Like, yeah.
It made it more accessible to a wider variety of people, having it be,
Yes.
this other, it's not separate from, but
Yeah.
it was more specific,
Yeah.
and I would say that just about everybody on the spiritual awakening journey are somewhere in this category,
Yeah.
and it's not an insult or anything. It's an awareness of a superpower, and getting past the limitations. Thing is, spirit's always talking about words themselves are limiting.
Yeah. It's
Like
true.
I'm
It's
constantly
true.
getting channel messages all the time, and like I'm always having I
Yeah.
can be alone and be so entertained for hours and hours and
Yeah.
hours. Like,
So true.
and but what they talk about is that speaking something,
Yep.
using words, limits the thing. That's
Yeah.
just the nature of it. And the more that
That's
we
it.
try to move away from that, um, the more that we're going to find ourselves feeling lost, though. We
Yeah.
need some type
Yeah.
of guidance.
That's it. No, you're right. And then, like, the human brain loves to categorize stuff, doesn't it? And so, but then that sets you up for like not being unity. It's like once you categorize someone or something, it's like putting them in a box, and then they might not resonate to that at all. Or, I know what you mean. It's, yeah, we're so much bigger than the labels that we give ourselves. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're so much more than all of that.
Full on. And it's if we can see it as a superpower, if we can see it as for the strengths, and
Yep.
then allow yourself to be aware of the moments that you need breaks. Pull yourself away
Yeah.
from those situations so you don't have, what'd you call it?
Oh, autistic burnout. Yeah, and
Burnout.
ADHD, you can get that burnout too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like just giving yourself the support, hey, that you need. It's a huge one, and sort of going like, it's okay to have the whole spectrum. It's okay to talk about, because I think, like, if you talk just about all the issues and then the struggles you've got, it gives it's not balanced, hey. And then if you talk about just that it's a superpower and stuff, it also paints this
Right.
different picture. But when you look at it combined, like, yep, I have got all these strengths and great things, but I also have these sort of struggles. It's like a balanced view. And I guess that's why I wrote that book. I sort of wanted to show that, yeah, like you can go through a lot of stuff, and it is a lot of it, I think, with autism and ADHD, it can be an invisible sort of disability. Like, your struggles are invisible to other people because they won't see it. They won't see the meltdowns, they won't see the burnout, they'll see you when you're trying to function at your best.
Yeah.
But they won't always understand that as well. Because I remember talking to someone about, I'm struggling with anxiety, in my 20s. And they're like, oh, but you don't seem anxious at all. And I'm like, oh. And then I realized is what you present on the outside, people that don't get what you're going through on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you take the good and then you support yourself, and then all your kiddos, and you just
Right.
do your best, hey. And I think going away from this is what's caused autism is probably the best thing we can do. Focus on supports rather than trying to because there's all of that as well, and I don't even want to go into it, but it's
Exactly.
And the media just blows everything up, right, and just polarizes everyone even more.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely like it's good to talk about, I think, and normalize it. The more everyone have discussions like this, I think the better.
Yeah.
And then if it helps even one other person, that's like awesome. Job done. Sorry.
No, I've cut you off. Excuse me. I'm not. I've always working on this. I don't mean to. I'm also having a telepathic conversation with you, and so this is what happens for me: is I actually already know what you've said before you've said it sometimes, and
that's
I
amazing.
forget to not respond yet. Like, and so
I do that too, though. Like you get excited, and then I talk over people all the time. Then I'm like, sorry.
Yeah. But
I'm also reading the comments as well. It's really nice, all the comments people are coming in with.
Yeah. In fact, there's one I pinned a while ago I wanted to draw to your attention to, because I thought this was really the etymology of your name, follower of Christ, which can be spelled Christ. Hence, Kristen follows crystals, born to be connected to them. Isn't that cool?
Oh, wow. That is. Thank you. Who was that? Lavender Sky Panther. Thank you.
Yeah. I thought that was so neat.
That
but
is.
The support of the people here, everybody, I've been watching, I've been reading you, by the way. I thank you all of you for being here and for showing yourself, because I know, this kind of conversation, there's some like taboo kind of stuff about it, when it comes to neurodivergence or any type of thing that has a diagnosis, a name attached to it, often brings this like lower class of human kind of story, when that's not true at all. And conversations, I feel, is the intention is to show that the lack of how that's not true,
exactly,
right?
And it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
And
look,
you said that, Asia, thank you.
I wanted to point this out too. It's really affordable. It's like $7.99. So the link is in the description of this video. So if you want to check out her book, that would really help to support her and really bring the message out. I know with stuff like this, that if there are enough people who click it, then it becomes more available for everybody else. Like the same thing with like what subscribing or clicking like or sharing content. The same thing works in the book world, and so if you do, then you make that more accessible to people who maybe don't have any and are lost. Remember how it felt when you didn't know that other people were feeling like you.
That's right.
Yeah,
it's so much harder, and you think that you're the only one going through it and there's something like wrong with you. It's so good to know there's whole communities of people just like you going through the same things. It's amazing. Even navigating the homeschooling, at first with that was very like, I felt a bit of fear and things around that, because you're going away from the main system and how, I grew up going to school and stuff, and it's like, oh, you feel like, am I going to fail my child, but of course it's not. And then the longer you do it, you get more comfortable with it, and you're like, no, this is actually like the best thing ever for her. And then, no, Kitty, you can't come jump. You're not allowed to jump on the keyboard. She just wants to be close. She doesn't want to sit on my lap.
Pardon me.
Sorry.
This comment, as I keep thinking I need to bring this up, but just, I know we probably want to wrap this up soon. And so let me know when you're done. I don't want to.
No, that's all good.
Okay. But this, the fact that many people, if not everyone, who has some type of addictive, like alcohol, recreational drug use type
Yeah.
things, I would say the vast majority of them fit in the conversation that we've been discussing in this show today. Like many people, like I had a really big thing about weed actually. And
Yeah.
I stopped, but I stopped because I found that it was affecting my ability to dream. Like,
Ah, wow. Actually,
yeah,
Joel's like that. My partner, he's the bit the same. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. So you
yeah,
don't eat
dreams
meat now,
stop.
and you're able to dream a lot, astral travel and things a lot better.
Yeah, yeah, it's like it turns or dulls your third eye, or it
Yeah.
does something like where before, when I was smoking a lot, it was um it was like just darkness was the sleep instead of dreams. And then you'd wake up,
Ah,
and like,
yeah.
but then, and in a really early life, I know a little bit about my background, but my dad and his cronies were like feeding us alcohol to get us to like be more like less fighting, have less fight in us. And starting at an early age. And so I
Yeah.
actually, for a long time, thought I was an alcoholic, even, but um,
Yes.
what I'm saying here is that I think every one of us in some way resonate with this addictive like behavior. And we find that once we understand kind of what's going on inside the human form that we're in, then
Yeah.
we don't have to engage so much in this addictive tendencies.
Yes, I agree. Yes. I was alcoholic until from 18 until 30. I drank every day. I was very addicted, but there is a few people in my family, like it's a bit genetic. And it was, by lunchtime every day, I'd be planning what I was going to drink that night. And I did it. I know that um, it definitely can be linked with people that are autistic or ADHD because because of that high anxiety and that social anxiety. So then, before you go to a big event, I'd have a few drinks and then, I definitely used it like a social buffer to help with that. And
Yeah.
whereas really, now I wouldn't really go to big events and that very much because I don't drink alcohol anymore and I don't really like being around drunk people
Yeah.
either. So, um, but I definitely did, and that is so true. I think so. Hey, about that, because with ADHD, you've got that. You can have that impulse control things going on. So I know I definitely, and then in my early 20s as well with recreational drugs. I went through a stage of that as well. And then got to mid 20s and said to my then partner, like, I don't want to be part of this anymore. So we moved away from the big city we were in and then moved back more rural. And then, I just wanted to to get away from that because, it definitely, and the alcohol addiction for me, it was really hard. Like it took me literally years, like years and years. So I wasn't having that daily craving for it. Like it was definitely there. And then, but I never went to AA or anything because like I've looked at the AA stuff and I think it's good, but I guess when you look at manifesting and things, I don't want to keep saying I'm an alcoholic every day because I'm choosing not to be. I'm not that. So I'm not going to get locked. It's that box thing again. Like I know I didn't want to be locked into that every day. So,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a tricky one to break, but you're right. I think you're right. There's all those extra struggles, and I guess alcohol and stuff is so. You look at celebrations in society, and there's usually always alcohol, isn't there? It's
Yeah.
like 18th, 21st, weddings. It's just so we're so programmed to like in movies, like drinking and and I think you're right. Like I think it does. It can bring in those lower energy beings and stuff as well. Hey.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
sorry for what you went through too, having that done to you as a child and being given that. That's just, yeah, it's horrific. But look at you now, like look at how you've grown, and it's amazing.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't
you're an
change a single
inspiration.
thing. I wouldn't want to do it again, but
No, no, no.
I can see how it needed to happen, so
Yeah,
we're doing now. Like
yeah,
I,
yeah,
don't do it on purpose, but we impact a lot of people,
yeah,
you know, and like we're doing now together. It's always a group thing. I don't feel like it's ever
yeah.
just me, but every time something important happens, uh, I have sightings of spaceships too, and
That's cool.
you actually brought that. I had memory of a couple of different moments that while you were talking about this earlier, but
Yeah,
like each one of those moments, it's like,
yeah,
when you see these things,
yes,
you're like, okay,
yeah,
this thing is going to be important. You're going to be glad that you did it, and you're
yeah,
also going to be glad that it's over.
yes, yes. I don't want to rewind.
Yeah, yeah,
That's it.
and
No, the craft is amazing, and it's such a good feeling when you see them. Hey, there's
mhm,
the ones that I've seen a lot of videos and sightings now where we call them the blinkies. So it's like the round shaped one, and they'll blink and then they'll power up and they'll do different
yeah,
formations. We've got a local spot every time we go there. Like, we call them in and they always come, and it's to the point like where my daughter would be like, go up, and then it would go up and go to the left, and now power up, and they do a power up, and it's like it's at a very long distance range, but you can still feel the energy of it. And
yeah,
actually, Joel, one time he had on his he had a Moldavite pendant on, and he I wasn't there, but he said he looked down and it had gone up like this. Like,
wow,
the craft was up there, but he said it went, ooh, it was just like that. And I said to him, man, I would have loved to have seen that. But just that, I mean, they were so far up in the sky. It was just like the little blinkies, going around. But it
yeah,
was still the energy was still um, doing that. And then I spoke to another lady I met this year, and right around that same area, she had a full-on whole experience there too. And then they were staying in a caravan park, and their daughter was running this really high temp. And then, yeah, she said they could hear the noise. There's one, 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 and then the experience happened, and then her daughter's temp was back to normal. Like, it was,
wow,
and that was about within a kilometer of where we see these blinkies and stuff. So it's really cool when yeah, you can talk to other people that have had it, and just that feeling, you're like, oh,
yeah,
so
and
good.
the love that you feel that you talked about, like that, I so
Yeah,
resonate with you. You already know, like you can
yeah,
feel them before you see them. You're just like,
yes,
whoa, this feels good, and then you're like,
that's
wow. And I see
it.
them like they're plasma like because they're always moving shape. They're like, and they'll
Yeah,
separate and go different
yes,
directions.
yes,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
cool.
it's so neat. That's cool. And I feel like that every one of us can relate to this is that we find that we go through certain experiences so we can heal through them and then be
Yeah,
the example of how to do that.
yeah,
And so, like, your background and going through that difficult situation, with
yeah,
with your ex and having to watch your daughter go through what she went through and go
yeah,
through your figuring out your own stuff and sharing that. Like, how many people have you empowered today? Like,
yeah,
and in the
yeah.
days to come, we're gonna have people coming back and watching this conversation after you're done, you
That's
know.
it. And that's it. If it just helps one person, it's worth it. Hey,
Mhm.
because I was very anxious. Like, I don't really like, doing public things and speaking, but I know my higher self is like, no, you need to do this. Like, you need to do this. And so I do. I show up and I do it. But I'm very anxious even now. But it's because it's that whole being scared of being judged, and you feel like, oh, it's easier to not. It would be easier to not show up and do it, right? But
Yeah,
then
it
once you
would.
do, you're like, oh, I feel so good, and then you get to make new connections, and then
Yeah.
yeah, it's so good. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to say. That was one thing I sort of realized when I was researching for my book. because it wasn't just my son's dad. I had a lot of like past relationships that were abusive, and I chose to stay a lot longer than I should have after seeing the red flags. But I found out that that's very common also with like autistic women, right? It's to do with that, those sometimes social difficulties. So like they say part of it can be you give people too many chances because you know what it feels like to be judged. So you're like, like one of my exes, I'd be like, oh, it'd be horrific to me. But then I'd think, but his stepdad did this to him and he went through all this as a kid. So that's sort of why. But then as you grow and stuff, you realize there's no excuse because other people go through abuse and never inflict it on others. And that was one thing I learned too, is just how if you are sort of neurodivergent, you can be more vulnerable, to things like that. So like with my daughter, obviously I'm going to be not overprotective, but as she gets older and has partners and stuff, try and keep that conversation open and and just be mindful of that you can be a bit more vulnerable because of the social difficulties or understandings or being too forgiving sometimes as well. Like, that was a big one. When I looked at the statistics of it, I was like pretty shocked. I thought, wow, because I used to give myself a hard time even about that. Like, why did I stay? That's another huge topic of that. It's quite heavy, but, that often survivors can put themselves through a lot of guilt and like shame about it. But I think that's another thing that needs to sort of be out in the open more, because it's a lot more common than people even realize, and a lot of people don't speak up or don't leave because they feel so ashamed or so trapped, like they have no options. And so I thought that was interesting too. And I guess that's part of the homeschooling, because she kept getting bullied at school and stuff, and we were teaching her like, you need to tell the teacher and do this and that, and she was doing really well advocating for herself, but it just kept happening. And you're like, I don't need to keep sending her somewhere where it's relentless, like, like let's do something different. Let's just we'll find a different way. And they're like that divergent is
isn't that neat? I love this. Varley, she's been on the show a couple of times before. She's got I love her etymology that she does, showing the different words, and like seeing past the limiting aspects of the words that were assigned. Like,
I don't like the word should. Should just get canned, right? I should. There's such a guilt thrower. I should. I'm like, get rid of should.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda, all those words. And like you said, using I am statements against ourselves, like, we're talking about 12-step groups. I've spent quite a bit of time in 12-step groups for a while, and I really did benefit from being in those rooms, though, using the I am statement against ourselves. And this also includes when you use a word meaning some kind of sickness. I am this, I am that. I figured that one out when I was in my early 20s and having a call in sick. You have to tell your boss, this is what I'm experiencing. And by the time you hang up the phone, your health drops even more than it was. It's like there's a direct correlation to this.
Because you're owning the sickness, and instead of saying like, oh, well, my body is healing at the moment. But
what we say around in this house is I'm healing through. You can put in the blank there, and instead of saying I am this thing, and something else. Victoria had mentioned another I am thing. The connecting and believing that your partner, a person who maybe not be partial, maybe will be abusive or something, that their feelings belong to you, and that's another I am kind of thing that we do a lot of times. And just a little side note, I discovered this not very long ago, that most narcissists are empaths with attachment disorder. And so That's the only difference. And that's why I think that's another reason why we stick around so long, because we feel they're
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. And you can
Right?
almost feel like, I think I would always see their potential, or like you'd connect with their inner child, and you could feel that they were hurting, or you could, and they could be so much, and then you feel like somehow you're going to be able to help them, but really, if they don't want to change, and they're just going to continue to treat you like that, like there's nothing you can do. But that's very true. Like as a child, I found that very hard, or even as an adult, sometimes I'll be like, this feeling isn't mine, and you feel into it and you're like, no, I've just picked up someone else's, you know what I mean? Like you feel it when it's yours, but it took a long time to try and really figure that out, because I would just feel so overwhelmed by an emotion, but then you realize, well, that wasn't even mine to begin with. That's tricky too.
When I discovered that emotions aren't even the ones that are considered mine, that they're actually outside of us, like a consciousness, like
Wow.
it's a whole different world. Like it's weird when you first think of it. It's like, that's not true. But then play with that for a while. It's just a suggestion for anyone,
I will.
It changes everything, and
It
like,
makes sense.
yeah,
It makes sense, because emotions come in and then they seem to go like an ocean, right? I've never thought of it like that, but I can see where you're going with it.
Yeah. It started because Spirit told me the first 3 to 14 seconds of a thought isn't even yours.
Oh, wow. Yep.
That's a lot of seconds.
That
Like,
is 14.
It's like a clickbait ad. It's like, do you want this?
Yeah.
How about this? How about this? And then there's an algorithm that the universe has, right? And so if we typically will click the, like, self, shame, blame, unkind words to self, they'll come back more. If we're clicking the loving ones most, then they'll come back more. And so we also can set the algorithm based on habit. It's crazy.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because those thought forms, especially the more like, negative ones, they do. Like if I've been at points in my life where they just circle around and around, and it's like they get more and more intense, and then it's just like feeding more and more. You're right. Yeah. And also with good ones.
Yeah. And then they build on themselves and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then once we choose to engage in it, now that's you. And you can get off that boat anytime you want to. That includes OCD. I saw a comment here about OCD. That includes OCD. It includes obsessive compulsive behaviors and thoughts. Lots of times, what's happened recently, and this is, I know a lot of people have already heard me talk about this over and over again, so I won't go really deep into it, but on March 25th is when it came in, and it hasn't stopped, is that we're getting a lot of light directed to this area of our brain called the hippocampus. And that's connected to long-term memory. What it's doing is it's swelling this light up because we're being reunited with our memory from our previous incarnations and soul memory and all kinds of stuff. It's pushing out this density that's been connected to the back of the mind. Like
reptilian part of your brain, like that survival part. Yeah.
And so as that releases, those like low self-worth voices and words are falling away. And when they fall away, though, they're louder. They get louder right before they go, right?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say, with this OCD mind, I've never overly myself had trouble with OCD, but what came to mind to me would be that would be probably an underlying feeling of being like the inner child feeling unsafe, and then feeling like you do these set things to make it okay. Maybe that would be to work on like grounding, and then do like inner child work. Even if like I I did a lot with a psychologist last year. She did a lot of inner child stuff that would come up. She was trained in it. It was really, really helpful. Yeah, that's just what popped up for me to say to Zach. Yeah.
And with that, a lot of times it's simply the lack of reassurance, of the safety, knowing you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. It's all we need. You're okay. You're going to be fine. And if we can clear our channel just enough to have the guidance from spirit move through you, just like we've already talked about, the kind of compassion and love, you feel like you're being cradled like a babe in arms. You're safe. You're okay. You really, really are. This stuff is normal that you're going through. Then we don't feel so. And there was a time that that was when I stepped away from the diagnosis world. They tried to tell me that I have OCD, and so I can resonate with it in a couple different ways, and like there's I also found that what I did to kind of release it too was that I intentionally put things out of order. Like, for instance, I have a red, an orange, a yellow, a green, a blue. I have all the colors of these cups, and they don't go in order of the rainbow, even though I want them to. I won't put them that way. Like, I do it on purpose, and like that kind of helps too. But what really helps is the reassurance. How do you connect with that when you don't know, when you've not done it before? For me, it was channeling with paper and pen. It's ask a question and just start writing. Don't focus on any of the punctuation, the grammar, the spelling or anything, and just let yourself just let it flow. And a lot of times we'll do this and we'll think to ourselves, wow, and we're reading back, man, I didn't realize that I had some good wisdom down inside there. And you're a wise person, though a lot of times what you're seeing is your higher self or your guides or someone else moving through you and giving you the answer, and opening that channel of communication. You can be reassured regularly and know that you're safe, so you don't have to engage in these behaviors as much.
That makes sense. Hey, that's really good. I think too, you're talking about the kind talk. I think that's really true. So what I do, like Meryl, my psychologist, suggested to me is like when you feel yourself starting to ramp up or you're getting really upset, and she'll go, okay, you're going into your inner child. So then I'll like visualize. So I've got a photo here. Like sometimes I'll put it in a grid. So you have a photo of yourself when you're little, and then you imagine yourself as that little child. And how would you speak to a child? Like even take yourself out of it. How would you speak to a little child that was upset? And then internally I will think like kind, supportive things to myself. Like if and just to even acknowledge the emotion, like I'm feeling, like how am I feeling? Oh, I'm feeling really anxious. I'm feeling upset. Like, because one thing that'll happen to me, if I start to get really anxious about something, I might start getting a bit like cranky, like nitpicky and stuff, maybe at like my family and that. But the more awareness I've become of it, I'll catch myself and I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry. I'm actually just really anxious. And then I'm like, okay, I need to sit for a minute or two and just like put your hand on your heart and talk to yourself like your inner child and be like, it's okay. Like you said, you're safe. You're fine. Do some breathing. Like it feels silly at first. You feel very a bit funny, but the more you do it, it just becomes like normal. Yeah, that's what I like to do.
I would say the most powerful activities we engage in at first feel silly. I don't know why that is, but that just tends to be the way of it. Okay, so I started getting a lot of conversation with Archangel Michael. After I found out it was Archangel Michael, I used to call him Bob. I didn't know who it was. My first near-death experience is when I was 4, so I've created my own vocabulary for a lot of this stuff. I didn't know everybody else knew this stuff. Anyway, he told me to say that I'm awesome. I had to say my name and
Yeah.
that I'm awesome. And I
Yeah.
was so mortified by doing this
Yeah.
that my daughter was asleep in her bed with the door closed. I was in my bed and I still had the blanket over my head and I was
Yeah.
like whispering it, you know, and he said, do it until it stops feeling cringe. And
Yeah.
then as soon as it stopped feeling cringe, then I had a new word I had to say. Saying, you know,
Oh,
I'm awesome was really hard, you know, it was
yes.
really, and like, and as I started to do these things, it was,
Yeah.
I was more willing to do what I needed to calm myself down in moments. Like before, it felt like I just,
Yeah.
no, everybody else matters more. Like I
Yeah.
was sacrificing myself or something. And so what I would do, what I do now is, for me, I need to get out of the box. Any building is a
Yeah.
box. I don't like being in the box. And
Yeah.
I want to go outside. Even if it's, I don't care what the weather is, I'm going outside.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if things start to kind of become emotional or difficult to be in, the
Yeah.
people who were close in my life know that what I'm going to say, I need a break now, that
Yeah.
they understand it's got nothing to do with them and don't follow me.
That's yeah. Yeah. You need space,
Yeah.
space and
You know,
time.
and what do you do when you go outside or when you go to the wherever you go, even if it's in the bathroom, if you can lock the door, you know, like, um,
Yeah.
is up to you. But for me, it's about breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, knowing that you're loved. Sending love out brings love in.
Yeah.
And once you kind of start that, then you can calm yourself down and self-regulate. And then everything's awesome again. Now you're filled back up with love and joy. And, you
Mm.
know, I need big breaks. Everybody
Yeah.
thinks that I'm like super outgoing.
Yeah.
Not. I'm not.
Yes.
I'm so
Yeah.
introverted. My
Yeah.
favorite thing is canceled plans.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny, hey, because I went on a show with Kenny and he said the exact same thing because he's stepping up and doing a lot of shows. But he said the same thing. He's like, I get very anxious, but you're still pulled by spirit to do that, to show up, to help others because, yeah, that's your gift. That's what, your role, hey.
Yeah.
But that's so good you say that because then it gives other people confidence and they go, oh, so she struggles with that too, but still does it. So
Yeah.
maybe I can take a small step or do something that, that makes me a bit fearful or scared too. And then once you do that little thing, then you can build more. And you're like, oh, that didn't go so badly. It's like you're saying with the rainbow cups, you put them out of order and then to show yourself, well, nothing bad happened.
Right.
Like it might have irked me and I wanted to change it all back, but not like the sky didn't fall down. So,
Right.
probably lots of little things like that maybe over time could really help. Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
And then to see the result, nothing bad happened, you're safe, everything's good still, you know.
Yeah.
And I would say that doing this platform, I was in total resistance, like in fact my introduction video I've put on private because I didn't even, it's really funny. I'll probably put it back up at some point, but
Yeah.
it was Archangel Michael again. It felt a lot like that movie Ghost, where
Oh, yeah.
like Patrick Swayze was bothering Whoopi Goldberg singing the Henry VIII I Am song until
Oh,
she
yeah.
did. Because he kept bugging me. You need to do
Yeah.
YouTube. You need to do YouTube. And I'm like, I'm the one that takes pictures. I'm not
Yeah.
the one that is in front of the camera, and like, and what am I going to give? You need
Yeah.
to do it now, is all he kept saying. And so, and
Wow.
I can say this is that once I started to do it, that I've never regretted any video we've done.
Yeah.
Every time there's
Yeah.
a benefit that I've received too.
Yes.
The amount of people that come into these shows, the beautiful, beautiful conversation and love that everyone comes in with. I've
Yeah.
not had a contrary experience, and
Yeah.
I know we won't. There was one person who brought porn on it when I did an open mic one time. That was annoying. But but for the most part, it's always been, and it's always worth it. It's always worth
Yeah.
it. It's just in just doing it.
It's so good too, the platform being able to connect with people all over the world.
Yeah.
Because, like-minded people aren't always going to be in your local area, or they will be some, but it might be a bit tricky to find them. But yeah, that's why I love social media. Hey, it's being able to connect with other people who are into the same sort of things. And like they say, like star seeds have been placed all over the world, like to light up the whole globe. And it's so exciting, meeting up, and the more conversations you have. I'd love one day in person. Like I really want to come over to the States. And, especially I'd love to go to Sedona and there's so many places. Yeah, I just think it would be really cool to one day go and actually meet like all these Facebook friends I've had for so long that are just amazing people. To actually give them a hug in person would be so good.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. We're actually what I keep seeing, and we're doing it. We're not. It's everything in spirit is like, cliff notes. They tell
Yep.
you story in like a few words, but it actually takes years to unfold.
Yep.
And what I'm talking about specifically has to do with these spiritual communities that are all forming all over the planet. And
Yep.
you mentioned Sedona. That's a big one. Like that's the place of the Hopi, and all this Kachina stuff that's happening right now is like amazing, and I do see a lot of us connecting on a consistent way, physically, in locality. And I am very much looking forward to that too. That's going to be some really fun times.
Yeah, for sure. It's exciting.
Well, we probably should wrap this up though, huh?
Yeah, thank you so much. It was so good to talk to you. And thanks to all the listeners as well, everybody there, and all the lovely comments. It's been really nice. Reading all these comments has really helped my anxiety, like a lot.
Good.
Yeah, it's good.
I like getting to put them up on the screen. When you don't put them on the screen, I don't feel them like I feel them when they're just red on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
a thing. There's so much that came through today that I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Like this was a very powerful, awesome conversation, and I'm crying a tiny bit. I want to say that I know the service that you provided today, and I understand that it's not always something we think that we want to do, but we would never change it for in a million years once we have, and what you've done today is a lasting example of that love. And I want to say thank you for your service today.
Oh, thank you. It's been so nice. It's been an honor to talk with you. Hey, thank you so much. Now I'm teary.
Oh, thank you. Oh, and before I forget, those of you, it's 8:08 in the audience, that if you want to connect with Kristen, there's a bunch of different ways to do it, and some of those are outlined in the description of this video. She has an awesome book. It's very affordable. It's only $7.99. If you want to click that, there's so much awesome useful knowledge and support found in all these different places. Or your YouTube channel isn't used a lot, but I still put it in there because I really like those. It doesn't. They're timeless. Those.
I'll have to do them more. I've really gone away from doing them this year, but that's what I thought. I'm like, I need to get back into doing them. Once again, it's the same thing. It's like, I don't really want to put myself out there, so I'll be brave for a while and then I'll pull back. But no, I'll start doing the videos again too.
I froze.
Thank you.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can. You're frozen though.
I'm frozen all weird too. Well, obviously it's time for us to stop. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
So the description, it's in the description of the video. I just said all that. I just feel weird because I was looking at myself funny.
You know what? My daughter and partner have just turned up, so that's perfect timing.
Okay. Well,
all right. You have a good weekend.
You too.
All right. Lots of love. Thanks again.
Sending all love. Blessings.
See you, hon.